Ever wonder what life was like in New York City after the war? Well, a new exhibit at the Museum of the City of New York shows us just that through the lens of one photographer. Mike Gilliam has the story.
After World War II, New York City was bursting with building and commerce, yet still had a sense of the old neighborhoods and community. Moving to the city from Detroit for the first time was Todd Webb, a novice photographer just discharged from the Navy. He fell in love with the city, particularly Manhattan, and captured its life and people over a period of 15 years. These stunning and evocative photos can now be seen in a new exhibit at the Museum of the City of New York called A City Scene, Todd Webb's Post-War New York, 1945 to 1960.
I think as an outsider, he's has wider eyes. He's notices maybe things a little bit more. He's not become numb to the everyday. So things that people might necessarily just walk by, he pays very close attention to.
The exhibition of nearly 135 photos is organized by the sections of the city Webb was photographing and how he moved through Manhattan. It starts with Welcome Home.
It's a series of photographs of storefronts and doorways with personalized welcome home signs for soldiers returning from the war. As a returning soldier, someone new to the city, it was an easy way for him to connect with the people of the city. And there's a really nice one of McSorley's famous bar with a Welcome Home McSorley Boys sign in the window.
Next comes Harlem, where Webb lived when he first came to the city. He came to know it well and eventually photographed the entire length of 125th Street. He particularly loved the older neighborhoods like Harlem because of the sense of community that was starting to fade at the time.
This photograph was made on LaSalle in Amsterdam. What we see is the neighborhood kids playing on the streets, something that is kind of remarkable today. What's really beautiful is the diversity we see in this photograph and how they're all just completely consumed with what they're doing, except this one child who's looking back at Todd. I think that is what really makes the picture.
The 3rd Avenue L train played a big role in Webb's photographing the city. It was the last remaining elevated train in Manhattan in the 1940s. He could hop on it and go from Harlem to the tip of Manhattan, visiting several different neighborhoods.
And it also gave him a very distinct vantage point to see the city, the last place where you could stand on a platform and look down, rather than maybe going to some rooftops and things like that. But it gave him a way to photograph on the streets, underneath the L, and because it was really dramatic light underneath the L. He was a sociable, outgoing person. In fact, in one of the journal entries, he said, "I haven't been down to the Lower East Side in a few weeks. I finally got back down there and I got to say hi to all my friends, you know, basically the street vendors who are working out there, out in the streets every day." There's a real intense connection, I find, in his pictures to his subject. I feel like he's giving everything he has when he makes these pictures.
His outgoing personality probably led to his network of friends and colleagues, a literal who's who of top photographers and curators in the city. The section shows his portraits of these people, including the great Alfred Stieglitz, who was Webb's mentor and before the war encouraged him to become a photographer. You can also see other parts of the city which Webb photographed, like the financial district, Midtown, and Greenwich Village, where he lived for a time. The exhibition ends with a series of storefronts with signage on them.
Even in the photographs where there are no people, you can feel the life lived in those spaces. One of Todd's most famous photographs is the 6th Avenue panorama, and it's actually the entire block between 43rd and 44th Street. I call it a row of technologies gone by. There's record stores, typewriter repair stores. It really encompasses the life of the city. You know, you see businessmen in their Macintoshes and top hats on their way to work.
Webb continued to have a long career in photography after leaving the city in 1960. This included his famous photo series of the artist Georgia O'Keeffe, who Webb met through Stieglitz when he lived in the city. Besides the fact that this is the 70th anniversary of the museum's first exhibition of Webb's work in 1946, Corcoran feels this is the right time to rediscover the photographer.
He was interested in the old city and the old city just after a period of intense building. And I think we are also at this point in the city where there's an intense amount of building taking place, and it's maybe reminds us to look back at these neighborhoods that have been here for a long time and to value them.
A City Scene is on view through September 4th. I'm Mike Gilliam for Arts in the City.